The dim constellation of Lynx was created as a challenge. Only those with true feline vision can see its stars. An ancient myth says the goddess Demeter turned a treacherous king into this secretive animal for attempting a crime. But the main mystery of Lynx is the Intergalactic Wanderer, a huge star cluster at the very edge of our galaxy. This colossal object is flying through the pitch-black void at a distance of 300,000 light-years from Earth.
Have you ever just looked up at the night sky, at those dark patches between the bright, famous constellations and wondered, is there anything actually there? Well, today, we're going to investigate one of those very patches, the constellation Lynx. At first glance, it's just a sprinkle of faint stars, really easy to miss next to giants like Ursa Major. But, as we're about to see, this celestial cat is hiding some pretty incredible secrets.
So, here's our plan. We'll start by exploring why Lynx has this reputation as an invisible constellation. Then we'll break down its key stats, its size and location. After that, we'll uncover the incredible deep sky objects hidden inside, examine its surprisingly modern history, touch on the mythology its name inspired, and finally, see what this dim patch of sky can teach all of us about the power of paying closer attention. For the longest time, the region we now call Lynx just looked empty. For centuries, astronomers saw it as nothing more than a random, chaotic scattering of dim stars, basically a blank spot on the map. It was officially created almost as an afterthought, really, just to fill a gap and bring some kind of order to the charts of the northern sky. But that brings us to the central question of our discussion today. Is this region really a void, or is its apparent emptiness just a cover for something far more fascinating? Let's dive in and find out. First things first, let's get our bearings by examining the vital statistics of Lynx. Think of this as its astrometric passport. We're going to look at the basic data, its size, its location, and how you can see it from here on Earth. These numbers are really the foundation for understanding what this constellation truly is.
And the very first thing that might surprise you is its sheer size. Lynx covers over 545 square degrees of the sky. Now that actually makes it the 28th largest constellation out of all 88. So despite being so faint, it takes up a pretty significant piece of celestial real estate.
Within that area, there are about 60 stars visible to the naked eye, but you're going to need a very dark sky, far from city lights. It's best seen from the northern hemisphere, though parts of it are visible to most of the world's population. And the optimal time to go looking for it is between January and March, when it's riding highest in the sky around midnight. Now, finding Lynx is a challenge. It doesn't exactly jump out at you. The best way to do it is to use its famous neighbors. If you can find the Big Dipper in Ursa Major, just draw an imaginary line from its head towards the bright twin stars Castor and Pollux in Gemini. Lynx is the faint, zigzagging chain of stars that fills the space right between them. Okay, so we know where Lynx is and how big it is, but what's actually in it? This is where that whole idea of celestial emptiness really starts to fall apart. Let's look at the incredible astrophysical objects hiding inside this constellation, like beacons in the dark. The brightest star in Lynx is Alpha Lyncis, and what's so fascinating is how it compares to our own sun. You see, Alpha Lyncis is an orange giant, a star nearing the end of its life. It's about 200 light-years away, but it shines 700 times more brightly than our sun. It's like getting a glimpse into the future, a preview of what our own star might become in billions of years. And a little fun fact, there's no Beta Lyncis, which is just an old mapping quirk from when constellation boundaries were redrawn over time. But maybe the most stunning object in Lynx is a globular cluster called NGC 2419. Its evocative nickname, the Intergalactic Wanderer, hints at its very unusual nature and its place in the cosmos. And the reason for that nickname becomes crystal clear when you see the distance. NGC 2419 is about 300,000 light-years from Earth. To put that in perspective for you, that is farther away than the Large and Small Magellanic Clouds, the Milky Way's most famous satellite galaxies. This thing is way out there in the galactic halo, on the absolute edge of our galaxy's gravitational grip. For a long time, the puzzle of NGC 2419 was its orbit. Scientists weren't sure if it was truly part of our galaxy or just flying past. We now know it's locked in a huge, elongated orbit around the Milky Way, an orbit that takes billions of years to complete just once. And Lynx continues to be a site of discovery. Astronomers have even found an exoplanet here, a hot Jupiter, which is helping us understand how planets form in other star systems. So, where did this constellation even come from in the first place? Well, unlike ancient patterns like Orion,
Lynx is actually a modern invention. It was born during the age of the telescope, as astronomers were trying to systematically map every corner of the sky.
The person we have to thank for Lynx is the Polish astronomer Johannes Hevelius. He meticulously mapped this faint patch of stars for his masterpiece, Star Atlas, Uranographia. As you can see from this timeline, the atlas was published in 1690, a few years after his death, and that's when Lynx was officially added to our star charts.
Now, Hevelius had a great sense of humor. When other astronomers asked why he would even bother charting such a dim, unremarkable area, he had the perfect answer. He said that to see the stars there, you'd need to have the eyes of a lynx. The name was both a description and a challenge to his fellow astronomers.
Because Lynx is a modern constellation, there are no ancient myths specifically about it. But the name Lynx itself has powerful connections to mythology, pointing us to characters known for their incredible eyesight. It's almost like a myth that was retrofitted onto the constellation, just because of its name.
Two main figures come to mind. First is Lyncis, one of the Argonauts, who was said to have vision so powerful he could see through walls, even through the earth itself. But the second, more dramatic story is that of King Lyncus of Scythia, and his is a cautionary tale of envy and divine punishment.
The myth unfolds like a tragedy. The goddess Demeter sent her protege, Triptolemus, to teach humanity agriculture. When Triptolemus arrived in Scythia, King Lyncus was consumed by jealousy. He wanted all the glory for himself. He plotted to murder Triptolemus in his sleep. But just as he raised the dagger, Demeter intervened. She didn't allow the murder, but she punished the king for his treacherous plan by transforming him into a lynx, a creature doomed to be stealthy and elusive, forever hiding in the shadows, much like the dim stars of the constellation that now bears his name. So let's bring all these threads together. We've looked at the science, the history, and the myths. And what it all points to is that Lynx is truly an intellectual constellation. You can't just glance up and appreciate it. You have to know what you're looking for. So if you want to try and find it yourself, here's your guide. You need a very dark, moonless night, far from any city glow. Look for that faint zigzag of stars. Your starting point should be its brightest star, Alpha Lyncis. And if you have a telescope, the grand prize is hunting for NGC 2419, that tiny smudge of light that is actually a city of stars at the very edge of our galaxy. And this brings us to the ultimate lesson of Lynx. It teaches us that apparent emptiness isn't always empty. If we know how to look, and if we take the time to look closer, we can find objects of incredible scale and importance. It's a beautiful example of how we find order and meaning in what at first just seems like chaos. So I'll leave you with this thought. The story of Lynx, a region once dismissed as empty, which we now know hides distant star clusters and entire planetary systems, it forces us to ask, what other incredible secrets are hiding in plain sight, just waiting for us in those dark patches of the sky?
Thank you, friends. Strive for understanding and become wiser. See you soon.